what we desire to do in life, what our passion is, what our purpose is, it already lies within. And if we can't tap into it, it goes back to that self-awareness. What's clouding that connection with yourself? What's clouding you with creating a deeper relationship of intimacy with yourself? Because that's where the true passion lies. And once we cultivate a relationship with ourselves in a deep, loving, and passionate way, you'll find what you love. You'll find what you're good at. You won't spend time. Oftentimes we're spending too much time judging ourselves about what we're not good at. So how could we ever hear what our purpose and passion is? So you don't have to go out searching for it. It's within you.
Welcome to the Networking with Michelle podcast, the show dedicated to providing you with life strategies with a little bit of entrepreneur advice. Here we believe in the Jim Rohn quote, "Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day." Hey, good people. Happy Monday. Hope you are enjoying your day. Maybe your day's just getting started. I have a beautiful, beautiful episode brought to you today by my special guest, Angela Holton, just a lovely lady I had a chance to meet a couple of months ago at the Women Conference, where she and I both spoke, but on different panels. And she just has a sweet spirit, great energy about her, and we just had a wonderful conversation discussing passion, purpose. What is this life really about? And I even share with her some things that I was going through a couple of months ago with my father. And I hope as I share vulnerable pieces of my life, of my story, that you're able to take parts of that and apply it to your relationships, apply it to your situation. As we talk about forgiveness, right? And lots of times it's about forgiving ourselves as we move forward and forgive others. I love this episode. I think one of the best things, as I share with her stuff about my father, her advice was so aligned with my therapist. And it's always good to receive confirmation. It's always good to receive confirmation. Look, I hope you enjoy this episode. I hope you're just relaxing and take a deep breath, because this is a good one. This is a good one for you. So without further ado, Angela Holton. Today's special guest is Angela Holton. She's the founder of Love Sanctuary. She's an international speaker and coach, where Love Sanctuary is an online spiritual portal centered on bringing us back into our hearts, the place where all dreams, self-transformations, manifestations, and creations unfold. I absolutely love it. Angela, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Hi, Michelle. I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. So we met just a few weeks ago at the Women Conference.
Yes.
So absolute pleasure. You were giving me those love vibes, so I had to invite you on the show.
Oh, good. I'm glad you talked love, vibe, energy. And you just dropped so many nuggets and pearls of wisdom for me that I seriously am taking to heart and will be implementing into my own business strategy. So thank you.
Absolutely. The Love Sanctuary, beautiful name.
Thank you. The name was actually guided to me. Yeah, everything about my business, honestly, I'm very deeply connected to my spirituality and my relationship to my higher power. And again, my calling to become a coach, all of that was guided to me. And when I completed my coaching training, I just knew I wanted a business name. I really didn't want to really make my business, my name, my business, my brand, although I'm rethinking that now. But then 4 years ago, I had completed my training and I knew I wanted the word love in my website, in my business name, because I knew that my business was going to be centered around the heart, around love and self-love. And I was selling real estate at the time in New York City. And I was playing with the word love in my mind over and over and over again. And I went to Sade's albums because all of her albums had the subject love in it. Yeah. So I was like, Love Deluxe, Love Soldier, no. And I thought of John Coltrane, Love Supreme, no. And then, Michelle, get a load of this. I'm walking to my office in New York. I get to my computer. I had these two big computer screens side by side. I turned them on. They start booting up. And then I'm fiddling around, getting my desk organized. And my head turns and looks directly at my computer. And I get all this junk email. But my eyes go laser focused to this one junk email I get, a real estate email that says, a Love Sanctuary penthouse on Fifth Avenue. And I said, that's my name. That's my name. And I knew it. And I called GoDaddy. It was available. It was an expensive domain name, but it was available. So that's how I came up with Love Sanctuary. And then the meaning of it just got deeper and deeper.
I'm all about creating safe spaces. Like that's been my theme for this year. And I know it's really centered about community and people, and like your name, for me, your name embodies that, you know, creating a safe space. Like I feel just by your name and the branding, I feel comfortable enough to talk to you. Does that make sense?
Yes. And really what's even behind Love Sanctuary is for us to understand that our safe place really dwells within us. Sanctuary that we all often look for. We don't have to go look for it outside of ourselves. Everything that we need, everything that we're in search of is found within our own inner sanctum.
With that being said, and we're going to get to your bio in a minute. With that being said, though, how do you define the difference between being authentic, transparency, vulnerability? Because I feel like some of these words are buzzwords for marketing now.
Yeah.
But how do you define those words?
So you said authenticity, transparency, and vulnerability.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think there's a link between all three of them. I think transparency probably for me has the less of a deeper meaning. You know, transparency, I'm going to let you see a little bit of me. I'm going to, you know, share myself and be clearly transparent with some things. But authenticity, I believe, is the relationship we have with ourselves. You know, are we showing up as our true selves? And is that the self that we're representing out into the world in which people then in turn see us as? Or is there incongruence between the two? And that vulnerability is having that authenticity with ourselves, that willingness to tap into our own vulnerability, our own raw emotions, our insecurities, our doubts, our fears, our self-sabotage, whatever that is. Are we willing to tap into that vulnerability? But that doesn't mean we have to share that vulnerability with other people. I think when you share, I shouldn't say the transparency has less meaning. If you're willing to share that vulnerability, then you're being a little bit more transparent. But not everyone shares their vulnerability. I think it's a boon to be able to share your vulnerability. And it's extremely cathartic and extremely liberating when you can share your vulnerability.
I love it. Okay.
Yeah.
You think it's required? I know we have to be these things to ourselves first, but wouldn't it be a requirement for some relationships?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you really want to connect, you know, if you want to connect, and are we talking about intimate? I think not just in intimate relationships, I think in all relationships, you know, if we're trying to go, you know, below the surface, then I think vulnerability, authenticity, and transparency are all needed in order to create meaningful connection. You know, if you want to just connect on a cerebral level or on a social level, sure, maybe those attributes aren't necessary. But if you want a meaningful connection where intimacy, right, is I'm going to let you see into me. So if you want to see into me, I've got to be willing to show those things to you. And if we're really going to connect intimately, I want to see those things in you also.
Okay. I know I'm getting ahead of myself.
No, we are like, there are no rules, right?
I know, but I need the other people to understand who you are. You mentioned a little bit, so it seems like you've transitioned from real estate to now your coaching practice. So just give our listeners a little bit more insight as to who you are and what you do.
Sure. So I've transitioned from a couple of things, Michelle. You know, I was born to be a coach. It's always been in me. I've been coaching and helping people and serving my entire life. I started volunteer work when I was 13 years old and working with children and families. And I trained in psychotherapy in New York. I was a social worker. Got my master's in social work, trained a couple years in psychotherapy, realized that was not the career for me, but knew I still wanted to help people, but it wasn't in that, in that sphere. Then I went into real estate, had a semi-illustrious career in real estate in New York City, which was fun and glamorous for a while, but it wasn't heart work for me. It wasn't meaningful enough for me. And I started really going through a difficult time in New York because my life was just feeling and looking the same for a long time. And I didn't know how to transform it. I didn't know how to get out of it. You know, people say, where do you go after New York? I was stuck on that and on that wheel. You know, how do I get out of this life I've created? And then I started asking the questions and praying on the questions and meditating on the questions of what am I here for? And those answers were revealed to me. And I literally heard my spirit speak to me that I'm here to serve. I'm here to teach. I'm here to learn self-love for myself and then cultivate that and teach that to others. And so the moment that I got that calling, I stepped right in, answered the call, and I dove right into my business and created it. And so I teach workshops. I speak. I blog. I write. I've co-authored a few books. What else do I do? I coach. I do group coaching, individual coaching. I have clients all over now, and it's really wonderful. Really, what God placed in my heart, I'm seeing manifest, and it's so powerful. And that's what I want to help people do now: is really tap into the powers of truly loving and accepting yourself, and allowing that to open your life to greater possibilities. The possibilities out there are just infinite.
If you don't mind me asking, you were living in Bermuda at one time. So how did you get there? What's life like there?
I was in Bermuda. And again, that was something else that I manifested. And again, that vision was placed in my heart. The water was calling me. I just knew I would be on the ocean, and not Florida ocean, not Sag Harbor ocean, or, Venice Beach ocean, California. I had this vision of tropical paradise, of clear, tranquil, calming waters. And I just started envisioning that and meditating to it and listening to the sounds of it. And I should add that it was right after my dog transition, which was an extremely difficult time for me. But I had started manifesting this before that. But so I was going to this bed with the sound of the ocean, just really placing myself there. And literally a few years ago, I would say I got a random call, but nothing is random. Got a call from an old-time friend who lived in Bermuda. She's Bermudian, and we chit-chatted for a minute. She asked what was going on with me. I said, I'm ready to change my life. I'm ready to leave. She said, where do you want to go? I said, I don't know, but I want paradise. And she said, come to Bermuda. I said, Bermuda? It was not even on my radar, Michelle. And she said, I have a home here. You've got a room. It's yours if you want it. And I packed up and I was gone in 3 months. And yeah, it was an incredible life. So much so that, I still reflect back on it, and I know that I still want a semblance of that life. I want to live back on, beautiful, simple, simplistic living with water. And, I don't need the big cities anymore, although I want closer access to it. So it was amazing. It was nothing not to be amazing. And it's only an hour and a half from New York City. So whenever I wanted or needed, to get back into the hustle, I just would get on a plane every few months. And so, but when that season was over, the universe yanked me out of there as quickly as it placed me there. And that is the truth. So it's amazing. It was amazing. Really beautiful. Thanks for asking.
Yeah. I mean, just the ability to manifest and live in the experience.
Yeah. But we all have it in us, Michelle. We do. What gets in our way is ourselves. The universe is infinite. The universe is abundant. We limit the universe by our limited thinking and our limited beliefs and what we're asking for. Help me pay my bill. Help me do this next month, instead of show me your abundance. Show me the depth of your abundance. Show me what my life is capable of, and the dreams that are intended for my life, and how can I open up to them? So when we align with that, and we, the journey to self-love is really, it's not about searching for love in or outside of ourselves. It's really about removing and stepping away and releasing anything that's not love. And that's what Marianne Williamson says all the time. And I love that. We don't have to, and the Sufi poet Rumi, we don't have to search for love. We already are love. We just need to rediscover it.
So why do you think we're so hard on ourselves? Is that strictly an ego thing?
Yeah, well, it's both. We're human and we're spirit, right? Mm-hmm. And so I believe, the human condition part of us is egotistical. It's ego. It has an egoic mind, and it just thinks. But then we're also spirit. And so it's really trying to find the compromise between the two and knowing which one we identify with. And we often identify too much with our ego. We think that we're the thoughts that we have. We become those thoughts. And, if you think a thought over and over and over again, you are going to manifest that thought, because you're going to feel the way you think, and then you're going to act the way you feel. And so then you're going to become the character of how you think, feel, and act. So, it's part ego, but it's also, we have a society that, inculcates that into us also. We're not good enough. Unless we have this, unless we follow this path, marketing is constantly being thrown at us that we need this to look beautiful, feel beautiful. Our lives need this to be better. So we can be in that trap. And, when you go into that space of wanting to go a little deeper and create a deeper meaning and understanding of your life, you kind of silence that other noise out there. You have to silence the noise of the media, society, and even religion to a degree. You have to go within and find your own personal religion and find your own, as you mentioned earlier, your own authentic voice. Who are you? And I think that's part of the problem is we think we're not who we are meant to be. We are so many of the other things that society, our parents, our grandparents, and what it means to be a mother, what it means to be a daughter, what it means to be a Black woman, what it means to be whatever. We're all those labels, but we're really not. We're really everything underneath that.
Right.
So I think that's part of the issue is that we become the labels.
Yeah, I think the sad thing about society is we categorize because it makes it easier, right? Because if I'm able to put you in a category, I know how to talk to you, or I know what to do with you, whether that's good or bad. But I know for me, as a Black woman, and then of course, at least for me at the age of 35, the topic of intersectionality is becoming popular, even though it's been several years established. It's I just get tired of defending myself. Be a conversation. And I'm like, this is me. Like this, I'm speaking for Michelle Gomez. I'm not speaking for every Black woman. I'm not the token Black person in corporate finance. And it just becomes exhausting.
Yeah. No, it does. It does. And I mean, do you feel like you wear that badge? Do you feel like you have to wear that label though as a Black woman? My father, whenever I would say, I'm a Black woman, I'm a proud Black woman. It's not that I'm not, but he would always say, honey, go deeper. He kept challenging me to go deeper. You're more than that. You're more than human. You're more. And he would just keep proposing those questions to me. So yes, I do identify as a Black woman, as a human and all these things. But, I try to go through life knowing that my purpose, my meaning here is even bigger than all of those things.
Right. And when did you discover your purpose?
It was January. I almost could tell you the exact date. January of 2014. And as I mentioned, my dog, who was, the closest thing to me and the closest thing at that time that I had of a child, which I still don't have children, and the closest thing as a partner that I had. So when he was gone, it was like, oh my goodness, the void and the loneliness and the absence within just days of his absence was so vast and so massive that I felt like I was going to be swallowed up, literally, like just fall into this dark abyss. And it was in that moment that I was, just inconsolably crying. And I just heard my spirit say, my dog's name was Kobe. And the message I heard was, Kobe taught you how to love yourself. It taught you unconditional love. He showed you what love looks like. Now you're supposed to teach it. Now you're supposed to be. Now you're supposed to become it. I said, what? How do I teach it? And again, this conversation was, you just become it. And the more you learn, you'll just share it. Just share what you know. Just share who you become, Angela. And then I called my mom and I'm crying and I tell her, I was like, I know why I'm here. I know what my purpose is. I know what I'm going to do. And that's what I've done. And every moment since then, I've just allowed myself to be guided to something bigger than myself. Because again, as we were talking earlier, are we just ego? It's easy for me to be in my ego sometimes. Yes, I'm in my ego sometimes. But when I'm not in my ego, when I'm really connected to something that's much greater than that, when I'm aligned with that, consciousness, there's just this synchronicity. There's the portal of miracles that just happen on its own. And that some of that's, it's intuition. It's your higher consciousness. It's God, it's spirit. And so I try, life doesn't present itself this way to us, but I try to navigate my life as best I can in that space, because that is the space where things work out for me. And the minute that I leave that space is when I start to constrict and, I start to worry or something happens, but when I stay in that space of that higher consciousness I spoke about, life just flows and things just open up.
What words of encouragement do you have for someone that is struggling with monetizing their purpose or their passion? I think lots of times when we grow up in church, We understand service and nothing's wrong with service, but, we do have to make a living, a healthy living. So why not do what you love? But I come across people that struggle with that quite often.
Yeah. And, people also doing the work that I do feel that, they can't ask for money, that it's spiritual work. We should be doing it for free. But, it's about value. And, I'm turning my passion into my purpose, which is also the means to my paycheck, So, for someone who out there, like becoming an entrepreneur, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and monetizing it is not an overnight success. It takes time to build, it takes commitment. But, if you're not in a position to walk away from the job that you have, look at the job that you have as an investment into your purpose. Try to remove, if you're feeling, if you're bemoaning or feeling unhappy where you are, flip that around and find gratitude in that you have a check coming in that's going to help you build a foundation to your purpose. And, there's a lot of great teachers and coaches out there that can help you learn how to monetize your business and create business success, but you have to have the willingness and the openness to believe that it's possible, to believe that your work is valuable and that you can charge for it, and when you know your value and your worth and you state a price, and people will pay for it. And I'm discovering that too, people will pay what you believe that you're worth. And, if you're feeling guilty about that, I would ask you to sit down for a moment and pull out a pen and paper and journal your relationship with money in your past and your family. What are your belief systems about money? And recognize that those are just belief systems, that they're not necessarily true, but that you've ascribed to this belief for so long that you believe it to be true, and your finances will probably be a mirror reflection of that. So, to construct new belief systems, you have to look for something that really correlates to that which you want. Go out in there and look at people who are doing it and monetizing it, and they're successful at it. That will debunk your theory, that will debunk your belief. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I want to transition a little bit. How do you define love?
Ooh, okay. So I'm going to say very simply that love for me is an energetic consciousness relationship with God, with myself, and with compassion. I think love, God, compassion, and forgiveness are all one and the same. And all of that flows within each one of us. We are all each instruments and vessels of that energetic love. Love is an action. It's not an emotion. It's not a feeling. It's not one day, I feel love. Ooh, I feel That's not love. Love is an action. Love is a decision, because anything else is either ego. It's ego, right? So there's only love and fear, and anything that's not love is of the ego. That's how love operates in my life. Is I don't see any separation, and I don't see any separation between me and love, you and love. You are love. I am love. And anything that's within us that doesn't demonstrate love is part of our fear, is part of our ego, is part of our humanness, which we are constantly embracing, right? We're constantly embracing this balance between being human and spirit. So that's love for me.
So just to make sure, from our understanding, if someone is struggling expressing love, is that ego? I guess the ego and the fear component?
Yeah, it is. It's fear. We are taught fear. We're not born with fear. We learn it. So someone who's struggling with with love, has probably leaned a little bit too much on the pendulum of fear. And, I would encourage to spend some time in meditation and prayer and journaling. Really journaling and writing your feelings down really opens up the portal to the heart, because a lot of times love can't be expressed because we've masked it with so many things, and we've covered it up with so many things that are not love. So to tap back into that, it is again releasing and moving through and pushing through the anger, the resentment, the guilt, the shame, the fear, the self-doubt, the self-sabotage, the things that we're holding on to. The more we move through that and let those go, that's where love is.
Yeah. I've been struggling with something lately When it comes to the African-American community, I feel that, I don't know if it's statistical, but it's stated that Black women are the most underprotected?
Yeah.
Human, I guess, in America, or something along those lines. So I've been having these conversations with my friends, and I'm like, I feel that our community has to get back to love, in the sense that love should not only be within intimate relationships. Like, as much as we need that, I feel like that's also hurting us. So if I'm out in public and I'm being disrespected by another man, for whatever reason, I feel like the man that's a bystander, I feel like he should intervene, right? He should step in just to protect me from any physical harm. But I think we're ingrained to the point where it's like, well, if this is not my girlfriend, my boyfriend, my husband, this is not my business. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I'm like, we have to get to the point where we just love and respect each other, period, beyond any intimate relationship.
Oh, way beyond. The love I'm talking about is, first and foremost, the most challenging relationship we have is the relationship with ourselves. So that is the most profound love that we can create. I'm speaking about love between friends, between family members.
Right.
Intimacy, that's, until we're really ready to love ourselves and can love people around us, then we can prepare ourselves for intimate relationships. But, when you say least protected, or, wow, that's sad. That's hard to hear. But I think that also, I think of the opposite of that is that's also helped Black women create such a resilience and a strength and an ability to protect ourselves. Kind of saddens me to hear, have this conversation, because if we go back in time, Black women were subjected to so much, rape and so really kind of what you're saying is like, there's still this just devalue of Black women. And so you're saying if someone's hurting a Black woman, whether it's a white person or Black person, they're least likely to defend or protect that Black woman? Is that what statistics say?
Correct.
Yeah, that's painful.
It is painful. And I feel like, and I'm saying society as a whole, I'm Black, so I see what's going on in our community. But as a whole, I kind of feel like we preserve the word, the action, the feelings of love only to family and intimate relationships, where I'm like, we need to love, period.
Everyone, and it's not just a hashtag,
right.
Love and self-love is not just a hashtag, women helping women, and I talked about this with Sharon Beeson at Womaneer, where we met about, women helping women can't just be a hashtag. That's an example of love personified. We need to embody that, and I can honestly say, and I don't know how you feel in your business, I see less of that, and I'd like to see more of that. I really want to be, and I try to be, that woman that really supports and uplifts, everyone, whether they're in the same business or me. I try not to have a scarcity mindset, that there is abundance, that there's more than enough.
Absolutely.
It's more than enough. So I don't mind helping my fellow Black sisters and, elevate, because if they elevate, I'm proud of that, and it's going to help me elevate, and helping someone else shine is not going to steal my own shine. And I think, when you talk about, let's stepping into love, people often, like you said, I'm just going to touch on intimate relationships, because people are like, oh, I want a husband, I want a girlfriend, I want this, I want that, and I want him to be this, and I want him to do that and treat me this way. But if you look in the mirror, are you treating yourself that way? And are you treating other people that way? Are you treating the person at the mailbox, at the grocery store with compassion? Are you forgiving quickly? Even when you're like, oh, something happened to me recently where, someone really tried to assassinate my character, and then, whoa, and even though the words stung initially, and I had to really make a conscious decision not to let those words pierce, they weren't true, but at the same time, I knew immediately, I've got to forgive her. I've got to forgive her and let it go. And I did, because if I didn't, then I'm not really embodying love, and I'm going to block really what the universe has lined up for me. And for me, when I choose love, it's choosing those difficult decisions. It's choosing to forgive when your ego is like, oh, heck no, stay mad at her. She said this, she said that, but it's constantly taking the higher road and, being the bigger person. And sometimes you just don't want to be. But I tell you, when you step into that bigger person, put on your big girl panties and you step and act in love, love finds you. Love always finds its own reflection. And I can tell you, Michelle, I forgave her that night, less than 24 hours. I said, I'm letting it go. I forgive her. Whatever she's going through, I forgive her. I release her. The next day, I got 2 miracles that opened up for me.
Wow.
For me. So that let me know that I kept my heart aligned.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah.
I didn't let too much of her negativity or too much of that experience get inside of me. And I chose love, even though my ego was telling me, don't do it. So it's in those uncomfortable moments, for people listening, if you want a fully engaging, loving relationship, you have to start with a challenging, loving relationship with yourself and being that example of love in those difficult situations. Love doesn't show up when things are great, right? I recently blogged about this, Michelle. I was like, if you ever find that, every day, every morning, I pray and ask God to be a vessel of love, to show me your compassion. But guess how he shows me that compassion? I have to freaking forgive somebody, right? It doesn't show up compassion. I'm just going to be nice to someone. God stretches my heart by making me forgive challenging situations or something that shows up in my life that's difficult. That's when love grows. That's when our hearts stretch. So if you're looking for a feel-good love and that's going to be devoid of problems and challenges, that's not love. Love muscles grow and strengthen through challenges, and forgiveness and compassion grow when, there's been a grievance.
It builds character.
Absolutely. So we don't build character in kumbaya moments, those are great, right? We don't, those moments are great, but our character is really stretched and grown when we face adversity.
So I'm struggling with a personal situation. I have a strained relationship with my father, and a lot of people, I've made efforts throughout the years, but a lot of people are like, well, that's your father. You should have a relationship with him. And the thing is, I don't think he wants a relationship with me, but where's the balance of making the effort versus preserving your space, like preserving my personal space, my energy, because it's a lot of energy to even communicate with him.
Well, I think the first thing is like, let's go back to authenticity. What is it that you really want? What do you want? What does your heart really desire in your relationship with your father?
That's a good question. I think with the recent events, I'd rather not have a relationship with him.
Okay. And so in making that decision, does that, create, like, do you feel, there should be sort of a calmness, like the cells of the body feel good with that decision, or do you feel guilty? Do you feel angry and resentment? Like, have you forgiven your father? Have you forgiven yourself?
So that's a hard part, right? Because I feel like I have forgiven myself, like past tense, but then something came up Easter weekend, Easter Sunday or whatever, or that week. And then all of those feelings and anger and, everything underneath anger presents itself.
Really?
And that's why I'm like, I'm in such a good, like I was in a good place on Saturday before I reached out to you.
Right. Oh.
Like I need to get back to that place. And so it does make it hard, but then it also makes it difficult when I have my mom and other family friends that are like asking me about him or like why. And then once going back to what I said earlier, it's like that constant of I have to defend myself. And I'm like, I need to preserve my space, and I need you to respect the fact that I'm trying to preserve my space.
Absolutely. And that's really a reflection of self-love too, when you're creating healthy boundaries, emotional and physical boundaries. But, one of the things that, I would have you sort of reframe or look at differently if you haven't before is, when I am with my clients and coaching my clients, I always bring the attention back to them. Mm. Always, always, always. Even when they're like, but my dad, back to yourself.
Yeah.
You're the only person that you can change. And so, and your path is your path. And you were born to your parents for a reason. And your father's role in your life has been, designed for a reason, whether it created, scars or pain, that pain, those scars have created Michelle, right? And has created your contribution and what you think and how you feel and has helped develop you. So one of the ways that I would encourage you to sort of look at your father, and you said that, some things came up again recently. Well, that's kind of what happens with forgiveness. Forgiveness happens in layers and stages. It can take a lifetime to forgive someone, but each time we feel that anger or resentment come up, that lets us know we've got more.
Right.
But the thing is that what if you turned it around and thanked your father for helping you unearth further anger and resentment that existed within you so that you can release what's not your true potentiality of love. And that as that fear of anger, resentment releases itself, you're tapping into your greater possibilities. Right? So it's kind of like things aren't being done to you, it's being done for you. And even your father and this relationship, as strained as it may be, how can you use it to help further your own healing, your own spiritual growth? All about Michelle. All about, okay, how can I use this pain, this anger, resentment for Michelle's growth? And most of it is releasing it and just releasing more and more and more. And, if you didn't have your father to act as a contrast in your life, how would you know that there was some anger that you needed to let go of? Right? So life has to present us with challenges and contrasts to remove what's not in us. It's not happening to us, it's happening for us. And that's how I try to look at things. When things that are happening that are challenging, it's like, this sucks. This is hard, but these tears were necessary. I needed to get this out. I needed to grow. I needed to expand my character. And then, I reach a new level in my spiritual growth. And I think if you start there, Michelle, because, the anger and resentment that we have inside of us doesn't come from things that happen in that moment, right? Those are seeds of anger that already existed within us. So, right. So your father could be showing up, and maybe hard for you to say an earth angel, but maybe he's showing up as a spiritual being, as a spiritual. I don't know all the implications.
Yeah.
As a spiritual guide for you to help you show up as your best self. And then regarding the boundaries and having the answer to other people, it sounds like you're doing exactly the right thing. You know how to advocate for yourself and speak, confidently and unapologetically about what you need and what you don't need. But is the most important thing, Michelle, is that you have peace with that decision.
Yeah.
No one else. And the more you honor that peace, other people will honor it also. But if you're vacillating in that peace, maybe other people are picking up on that also.
That's good. Ooh, Lord. Okay. Send me the invoice. Send me the invoice. I got it. Oh, Lord.
You're brave, though. I applaud you for bringing, personal, something personal to the conversation. I love that. I applaud you for that.
Yeah. And nothing's off limits on my show, at least for myself personally. Interesting enough, I actually have an appointment with my therapist tomorrow. So with that being said, what's the difference between your work and someone that is considering on seeing a therapist? Like they don't know if they need a life coach or a therapist.
Right. So both wonderful guides and teachers. I started training in psychotherapy, so I have a lot of respect for that profession as well. So psychotherapists are, they're trained and certified and as psychologists or psychiatrists. And a lot of the emphasis in psychology and in psychotherapy is to really focus on the past and unravel the past. You spend a little bit more time in the past in psychotherapy than you do with coaching. And coaching, we're starting at point A, and I want to help you get to point B. But we're only going to glance back at the past so I can understand where you're coming from. But my goal as a life coach is to keep you focused on where you are now, where you want to go moving forward. right? I'm going to bring up the past for you just to understand how you arrived where you are. So coaching is also more action oriented and goal oriented. There's an end goal that a client has in mind. So we help with more strategic planning of getting to that goal by understanding some of the personal, spiritual, and emotional blocks that are keeping that person from getting from A to B. So if you're feeling stuck in your life, if you're feeling, if you're feeling like, you want to know the meaning of your life, the purpose for your life, you have more to contribute, but you don't know what, a life coach would be great. If you want to enhance your relationships, if you want deeper meaning and love in your life, a coach is great for that. If you want business strategy or career coaching, a coach is great for that. I've worked with clients that have some mild depression, and even I will work with clients if they're clinically depressed only if they're seeing a therapy in conjunction with me.
Wow.
Yeah, but if you're suffering from trauma, abuse, clinical chronic depression, extreme anxiety, you probably should see a therapist. But a life coach could see you also, in addition to a therapist, to help you give more strategic goals to help you get where you want to go. So that's cool.
One thing I've learned this year is knowing your family origin leads to a lot of understanding of who you are.
Yes. Yes.
So, and I'm still working through that, but that's something I've learned recently.
That's great. They say when we heal, we heal 7 generations back.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's real.
Where you are, you're doing the work that your mother and father couldn't do, and your grandparents and your great-grandparents and your great-great-great, so this is our task. This is why we're here, to do better and to heal better than the generation before us. So it's a lot of responsibility, because especially as Black women, we come from a very difficult past and a lot lies on our shoulders. But, when you understand the ideology of your family, when you understand, how your parents were raised, and just think of all the DNA we have coming through us, right? We're not just our mother and father. Mm-hmm. We've got grandparents on both sides, and then their parents and how they were raised. So you're right. Understanding that tree, that genealogy is really important. But again, like with life coaching, I have you understand where your belief systems derived from, where they were born. But my goal is to challenge you to change them, right, and to deconstruct them, and to create the beliefs that you want to create so that you can have the life that you want.
When should someone come see you?
Now, no.
Because we have a tendency to wait when we're in crisis mode to get help.
Well, let me tell you. Remember I told you in the conversation that I was on that rat race going round and round?
Yeah.
I wish I knew then, years ago, let's say 10 years ago, the availability, accessibility of coaches. I didn't know. I would have, got off that wheel much sooner. So, my suggestion is if you haven't been doing anything and it's not working, call me or a coach. If you've been doing different things and it's not working, call me or a coach. If you're attracting the same relationship over and over and over again, you're wondering, why am I attracting the same woman? Why am I attracting the same man? Call me, call a coach. If you've gone from one job to another job and you still haven't found that inner fulfillment, that peace, that joy, call me, call a coach. And, if you're finding that all your relationships are strained, or, wherever you go, you create conflict with someone, or conflict there, find a coach. Don't wait. There's no need to wait, and seeking a therapist or a coach, it's an investment in your spiritual and emotional health. And mental and emotional health really needs to be, we need to put more of a spotlight on that, because it's really important. We have to take care of ourselves. And, nothing I'll add, if you're struggling with your physical health, if you're struggling with losing weight, elicit the services of a coach or a therapist. We don't have to do things alone. I keep multiple coaches in my life, a business coach, a prayer coach, accountability partner. We need the support, and we don't have to go at things alone. As they say, it takes a village. It takes a village to be a whole, happy, conscious person. It does.
It does. It does.
It's a village of people to nurture you, love you, support you, believe in you, call you out on things. Like, we need that village. We need that tribe. So if you're suffering in any area of your life, you do not have to suffer by yourself. Find the support of a coach. Life is out there to be lived. There's opportunities. If you have dreams and visions and goals for your life, but you don't know how to execute them or where to start, call me, call a coach.
Yeah. So I have this, I spend a lot of time thinking and just talking to myself.
Good. I talk to myself all the time. Oh my God.
So I'm just sharing everything. I'm sharing all of my thoughts with you.
Please do.
Another thing is self-awareness. I'm very big on self-awareness. And I feel like once we gain self-awareness, that leads to better emotional intelligence. And maybe it's because my line of work, just, people know me for networking, and I observe people, always have. I've just been able to find my lane the past couple of years. But I just feel like emotional intelligence is lacking from people. And I don't know if that goes back to the ego and just the chaos and society and social media.
Yep. You're spot on. I mean, look at how many distractions we have from actually spending time with ourselves.
Yeah.
Ourselves. So how can we be aware of ourselves if we're constantly distracted? Forget just being home, having a job, a family, children. Look at all the other things that we're bombarded with. So self-awareness. You can't have emotional intelligence without self-awareness. And
right.
Self-awareness, excuse me, it's really being connected to your thoughts, the pattern of your thoughts, your belief systems, your values, how you respond, how you reflect, how you react. It's, being aware of the thought. It's being the observer of your thought, and this is the first module that I teach and when I'm teaching a group course. And one of the first things that I teach with my clients when I'm coaching is, are you aware of yourself? What thoughts are you keeping during the day? Most people don't know.
Right.
It just goes, right? But if I have you think about your thoughts more and have you understand that you're much more in control of your thoughts, and if I could help people understand that your thoughts are leading you to feel the way that you feel. People are like, well, I just feel sad and I feel crummy. Okay, well, tell me, what are you thinking about? Well, I'm thinking about this and I'm thinking about that. But that's why you feel that way. And this is why you're believing what you believe about yourself, because you're becoming that belief. And then you're going and we're choosing actions and situations and relationships and people that reflect this unconscious belief and thought because we're not aware of it. But if I help bring that focal to your thoughts and you just start meditating and being aware of what you're thinking throughout the day and become the master of your thoughts, or at least knowing, hey, I'm thinking a negative thought right now. Most people don't even know when they're thinking a negative thought. Oh, I've been thinking the same thought that I thought yesterday. We think between 50 to 80 thoughts a day, and most of them are the same thoughts we had the day before.
Yeah.
That's how meaningless the mind is, but it's so powerful because we think that we are our minds and we're not. So if you want to enhance your self-awareness, do you meditate, Michelle?
I do.
Okay, cool. Right? Would you agree with me? Like, meditation helps us become more aware of ourselves?
Absolutely. First thing in the morning, I do my devotion and meditation together.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, people think, well, I can't just sit in meditation because my mind is racing. Okay, well, start with the mind that's racing and just observe a racing mind. And then the more you connect with your breath, thoughts may slow down, or notice what you're thinking. Oh my God, I was just thinking this horrible thought. I was telling myself that, I sucked at something, or I didn't do this, or I didn't even notice I was beating myself up. Well, yeah, if you're beating yourself up and you're thinking, you're not even aware of it. Yes, it's going to affect your self-esteem and your self-worth. Yes, it's going to affect how you feel about yourself and maybe cause some depression or sadness. So it's really bringing the spotlight to our thinking and recognizing that we're not our thoughts and we can shift and change them. It takes a lot of practice and work, but it's possible. It's possible. And as I was going to say, forgiveness is also part of that self-awareness because, when we're thinking these bad thoughts, can we forgive ourselves for those thoughts every day? Every day, I say in my prayer meditation, I forgive myself for any bad thought that I've said to myself, any harmful words that I've spoken to myself. Right? It's that awareness and that relationship that we have. And when we cultivate that deeper relationship with ourselves, guess what? Life mirrors us, right? And if we embody love, love always finds its own reflection.
I love it. Well, I'm going to have to add that. I think lots of times when, at least for me, when I think of forgiveness, I'm thinking about that one-time incident, but you're right. I need to, in my morning practice, I need to forgive myself every day because those thoughts come up and maybe I'm talking bad to myself. Like those things do come up, but I need to forgive myself every day, probably twice a day.
And throughout the day, like how many times do we say, oh my God, why didn't I do that? Oh,
right.
Oh, you were late, and you punish yourself for, oh, I didn't go to the gym today.
Mm-hmm.
Forgiveness is something we can carry around with us all the time.
Yeah.
I think it's I'm so big on forgiveness. I'm teaching a workshop in London next week about it. It's just so important. You can't be love. You can't be compassion without forgiveness. And that doesn't mean you have to become friends with someone who's hurt you. You have to condone what they've done. You forgive to liberate yourself. You forgive because you love yourself more than the grievance and the pain or the past hurt. So keeping forgiveness and compassion in your back pocket all the time is essential. It's essential.
I could talk to you forever.
And I could talk forever. I'm so passionate about this work, Michelle, if you can't tell. I absolutely love it. And, I beam about it. When you said you felt the love vibes, I'm so grateful to do this work. I'm like, thank you, God, all the time you gave me this assignment. Like, I just think it's so awesome. And that I'm just being the instrument, I'm just, right. God chose me and he chooses all of us to be some form of an instrument. And I'm just so pleased about it. And I searched for it for so long. And, the truth of the matter is, and if we just talk just for a second about our calling and our purpose, and anyone that's listening that wants deeper meaning, that wants to find their purpose and passion, just know that it's not outside of you. Mm-hmm. That, we don't live in a universe where we aren't given all the tools the moment that we arrive here. We really are. And what we desire to do in life, what our passion is, what our purpose is, it already lies within. And if we can't tap into it, it goes back to that self-awareness. What's clouding that connection with yourself? What's clouding you with creating a deeper relationship of intimacy with yourself? Because that's where the true passion lies. And once we cultivate a relationship with ourselves in a deep, loving, and passionate way, you'll find what you love. You'll find what you're good at. You won't spend time. Oftentimes we're spending too much time judging ourselves about what we're not good at. So how could we ever hear what our purpose and passion is? So you don't have to go out searching for it. It's within you. I will pretty much guarantee that. I'm not saying that you don't need training or, further education, but our desires are within us. They are within us. We serve a good God, and our God would not have us not know what we're here for, and that it'd be just this difficult, confusing thing. And I really was the one that was complicating it. I was looking for it outside of me. What's my purpose? What's my purpose? And guess what? It was really what people have been saying all my life. You're a compassionate person. And look, what I do every day, I extend compassion to people. It was really that simple.
It's amazing how once you open up, you make a decision, you're in agreement with that decision, how things just flow.
Flow.
The universe, God's blessing, like things just flow. And I know I'm definitely a testament to that. And of course, there's been challenges, but I'm always in awe. Like, really? Like, did that just happen?
Isn't it amazing? It's beautiful. Beautiful. And like, what do you do? Do you ever do anything, Michelle? Like when you feel like life's not in a flow, or do you feel like how do you make sense of that when things aren't flowing for you?
I think it's gotten to the point where I realized that what's for me is for me. Right. At a very young age, around the age of 13 or 14, I prayed for discernment. So as I've grown up, I've began to understand what discernment is. but I put so many things out there and I get rejected so many times. It's just like, oh, okay. Like, I don't know. I just got used to it, I guess, with the entrepreneur thing. And actually yesterday I put a call. I wanted to speak at a conference, even the Women conference, same thing. I put it out there. I was declined. And then months later, I got an email like, hey, we don't want you to speak at the conference, but can you do a video for us? We will put it on our virtual ticket platform.
And that was for Woman?
No, this was for Podcast Movement. It's a different, yeah. So, I mean, I just got that email yesterday and I have a week and a half to present something. But even when they turned me down, it was just like, oh, okay. But in my mind, I'm like, I have other speaking engagements, paid speaking engagements, paid clients.
That's great.
Lined up, so it's not that I wouldn't be happy. I would definitely be happy receiving it. Yes. I don't know. It's weird. I'm sure there's other things that are important to me that I wish could be better in my life as a whole. But I think I've been very fortunate when it comes to risk. I'll just put it out there. If I like you, I'll put it out there. Comes to my business, I'll put it out there. Oh, you don't like the proposal? Okay, what do I need to do differently? Okay, all right. So
right.
I'll follow up. So I've been very fortunate to receive no, but then like I'll get a no from someone that wants me to like speak for free. I'm like, I'm willing to speak for free. It's a no, but then I promise you, this was a couple of weeks ago actually. I did an interview to become an independent contractor for a training company to be their speaker on social media marketing. They told me, no, I don't qualify. And then later on that evening, I got a call from an organization in Seattle. They want me to keynote their event in the fall. So it's kind of like, that's a better win because that's under my company versus me being an independent contractor.
Right.
But I feel like I've gone through that so many times, so many situations that when I do have a no, it's just like, oh man, okay, what's next?
Exactly. I love that you prayed for discernment at 13. Wow, it took me much later to pray for that.
Oh, it's I was reading the Bible and I came across the word and I asked my stepmom, like, what's that? And she told me, and I was like, I want that. Because it's one of the spiritual gifts. And I was like, I want that.
And do you find in this work, I find in my work and as I grow as a, spiritual teacher that, it's a lot of energies that I'm around. And, a friend recently said, Angela, your discernment has to be even that much more specific because of how many people and different people you're inviting in. And, one of the things that I believe I've had as a gift that I never prayed for is that I have this, I'm extremely compassionate and connected to my family, my friends, my loved ones, even my clients. You will always feel the presence of my heart in my coaching. And my logo, my slogan is, coaching from the heart, because I believe so much in that. But at the same time, I feel like in order to do the work that I've done and even the work I was doing in psychology and social work, the stories that I heard, that God gave me the gift of having a little bit of a buffer, something that protects me, that shields me from some of those dark energies, but at the same time allows me to penetrate them in a way. Does that make sense? It's like I can still help the darkest of situations, but I have this buffer, this shield that protects me so I don't become that darkness. I don't become that. And so my friend, that I need to even heighten that even more in my ability and discernment as I attract different people into my life, that I have to be even more discerning.
No, I agree. I think it's a gift and a curse, but I'll take the gift. Like every day, I will always select the gift because it's gotten me out of so many situations as far as environments.
Absolutely.
As well as relationships, personal, professional. And my belief is the truth always comes to the light, right? So I may not see the truth right now when I walk away, but somehow it's revealed to me, 6 months, maybe even years from now. And I was like, wow, God was saving me from XYZ, and lots of times it's a hard pill to swallow in the moment. Like, but it's just like, okay, just very, very grateful. Life is interesting, but I say gratitude shapes perspective. Because as I can look at things as a lack, or I can look at it, okay, something's being prevented that I don't know about, or someone else is going to step in and provide whatever I need, through God. Or so I just say gratitude shapes perspective, and I try not to be negative.
Yeah, it's all about mindset, right? They say life is, 10% what happens to us and 90% our mindset, right? So it's really about controlling how our mindsets and how we respond and react to situations and to people. And gratitude is a very powerful tool to use as a perspective.
And you probably experience this yourself. I want to say you're probably more compassionate than me. But I know with me dealing with people, because I built my personal brand on networking, and I can do that very well as a skill set, right? And people see me navigating the rooms, but what they don't see is when I'm on the couch watching SVU marathons, because I need that time for myself.
Of course.
I need to be in that state where I don't have to think, right? I'm not thinking about my business. I'm not thinking about putting on first, and not saying that in a negative or a braggadocious way. Just, I don't want to think. I just want to lay on my couch and eat popcorn.
Exactly. No, but what is it saying? Put on your own oxygen mask first. Right?
Yeah.
Someone that may need you. We've got to take care of ourselves. And, and I don't know about you, but sometimes when you are doing the work that you love and you're passionate about, and you're an entrepreneur, you're the CEO, you're everything, it's difficult to shut it down, to shut it off sometimes, because it's just always flowing through you. The ideas are always coming to you. So I'm balancing that now, trying to really just find time where I have to make myself shut it down, because it won't shut down. So that's something that I'm working on, and I'm going to use this trip to London for 10 days to really just disconnect a little bit. And even though I'm going there to teach, after that's over, I'm also going to be part of a 3-day festival retreat. So
awesome.
I'm take care of myself. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it'll be over by the time people hear this, but it will have been great. Maybe I'll come back and update you on it.
Of course. Best of both worlds. Golly, this has been amazing, right?
Absolutely.
Amazing.
And Michelle, I have to have you on my podcast too.
Yeah, I would love to. I don't know. I just feel like, what am I not asking you?
I think you've covered a lot. You've done fantastic. And like I said, you can come back to my podcast, or I can come back another time. Happy to.
Okay, absolutely.
Love to chat.
How can people get in contact with you?
Sure. So you can visit my website, which is lovesanctuary.com, or you can email me directly at info@lovesanctuary.com.
Okay. Now, I can point out a few things that you mentioned earlier that the people should be doing, but I want you to answer this. What is one action item that you can provide, that you can give us, that we need to implement in our life today?
Okay. If you're not meditating already, start a meditation practice.
Okay.
Start a meditation practice consistently. Make that your non-negotiable time. Make that as important to your daily routine as brushing your teeth, getting up, taking care of yourself hygienically, take care of your spiritual health. Simple tools of meditation, breathing, sitting in some quietness, connecting with your breath, asking yourself, how do I feel? Our feelings are the way and the pathway to healing. If we don't know what we feel, then there's a disconnect, right? We may project or displace how we feel. Connect with how you feel. Try not to be afraid of your feelings and experiencing your feelings 100%. In order to move through a feeling, we got to feel it. Sometimes it can be scary, but feel it. Okay, after meditation, spend some time journaling. Do you journal, Michelle?
I do.
Yep, so spend some time journaling. Cultivate a morning 15 to 20 minute spiritual practice of meditation, journaling, gratitude. Write down your gratitudes or speak your gratitudes. It's powerful. It helps your mindset and your perspective focus on good, positive things rather than spending all your thinking on negative things that you can't control or change. And think about forgiveness more. Think about the people you can forgive today. If there's anyone that you're angry with, anyone, I encourage people to write forgiveness letters, which are not intended to be sent or mailed. You do it for yourself. And non-forgiveness and holding on to anger, resentment is one of the greatest barriers to love. Yeah. It's one of the greatest barriers to emotional intelligence. It's one of the greatest barriers to our infinite possibilities. So if things are not working out in your life in your favor, I challenge you to ask yourself, who do I need to forgive? And maybe it's yourself. And I would encourage you to do the same thing. Speak and write to yourself. Offer love and compassion to yourself. Let go of the shaming and the guilting and the things that happened in the past, right? And come present into this moment, knowing that in this moment all is well and only love dwells in the present moment. Anything else is either in the past or in the future that hasn't happened yet.
That's another thing that I'm learning. I'm reading The Power of Now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Eckhart Tolle. Mm-hmm. Ooh, that's a heavy book right there. Be working through me. All right. Absolutely beautiful interview. Everyone, I hope you are taking notes, but more importantly, I hope you are putting these items into practice. That way we can all become the better person that we're supposed to be. Remember, I believe in you. And personal connection leads to an influential network. Thanks for networking with Michelle.